So, in big news, the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, is set to retire on Monday, which is huge news. I know this came out yesterday, but I didn't get around to it. Or this came out on the 20th, apparently. But I didn't get around to it because I was streaming. But yeah, it was yesterday. Yeah, as of recording, today's the 21st. Yes, it came out yesterday. But anyway, Phil Spencer is retiring from Xbox. Now, from what I've seen, it doesn't necessarily maybe look like he's retiring. More like looks like he was getting kicked out and they offered him the chance to retire before he got the sack. But if we look at this, we go to IGN. Phil Spencer has now been the head of Xbox for the last 10 years. And we'll be looking back on his first decade. I mean, let's be honest, since Phil Spencer's been the head of Xbox, and especially the last couple of years, the last maybe 5 or so years, it's not really been that great, has it? Let's be honest. They keep putting the console prices up. Like the Xbox Series X has gone up, I think, 3 times since initial release. I might be wrong in that, but I know the price has gone up 2 or 3 times on the Xbox Series X. Game Pass is more expensive than ever. We'll have a quick look at Game Pass. We'll see how much it is. Okay, so here's the Game Pass. So, the last couple of years and last year, Game Pass keeps going up and up and up the price, and it doesn't really offer much for its value. Like if we look at Game Pass Premium, it's £131 a year. Game Pass Essential is £83 a year, and then Game Pass Ultimate is £275 a year, or £22 a month. Holy shit. Game Pass Ultimate is almost £300. I don't know what that is in dollars, but how can you be paying almost £300 a year for Xbox Game Pass? And yes, I know with Ultimate Game Pass, you get day one releases, you get brand new games on there. And there's pretty much every game on Xbox is on Game Pass, but for £300 a year, for me, that's not worth it. £300 a year. How can anyone afford that? I mean, even some big streamers have turned around and went, "Nah, fuck you. Am I paying £300 a year?" Whilst they can afford it easily, they've still turned around and said, "I'm not paying that." I mean, look at that. It's between £276 to £360 a year. That's a piss take. You can't be paying £300 for that. So Xbox in the last 5 years has been on a steady decline, and it hasn't been good. So anyway, let's read this. 10 years ago, on March 31st 2014, the Xbox game studio Phil Spencer was named the head of Xbox, and he inherited quite a mess. Well, he inherited a mess, and he made it even more of a mess. So Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer, who has been at Microsoft since he joined as an intern in 1988, and with Xbox since the software giant launched in its first console in 2001. So that's interesting. So Sarah Bond, a long time, I think that's how you say her name. Yeah, Sarah Bond. Many thought she was going to be a replacement of her, but apparently she has resigned. So you've had the head of Xbox, and I suppose she was the second in charge of Xbox. Both, well, one retired and one resigned. Now, to me, reading this, Xbox president Sarah Bond, long thought by many, both inside and outside of Microsoft, to be Spencer's replacement, has resigned. Now, reading this, to me, it doesn't sound like they've resigned. It doesn't sound like he's retired and she resigned. It sounds like if they was going to get the sack on Tuesday, it sounds like if Xbox turned around and said to the pair of them, "Look, we're planning to let you both go on Tuesday. We're going to fire you on Tuesday or sometime this week, maybe at the end of the week. So, you have the chance to resign or retire, whatever." And, Phil Spencer retired and then she resigned. For me reading this, it doesn't sound like, that he wanted to resign, or retire, sorry, and she was going to resign. It probably sounds like they was going to get fired from their job. And to be honest, if you look at Xbox over the last 5 years, it has been shit, and it has been getting really bad. And they've not really produced any major big games and hits. I mean, there's been 1 or 2. They've been losing players, more or less, over the last 5 years. They've lost a shit ton of players. A lot of people jump ship to PlayStation or PC. Game Pass is at an all-time high, and a lot of people cancelled Game Pass. I mean, when they first announced that Game Pass was, I think this was a year ago, beginning this year, when they announced Game Pass was going to increase the price and the consoles were going to be increased, a lot of people cancelled their Game Pass subscription. So, and that's the huge thing. Xbox and Microsoft, their huge thing, the biggest thing they rely on is Game Pass subscriptions. That's where they make most of their money. And with it being £300 a year for Game Pass Ultimate, and then just for the basic one, it's what was it? Just for the basic Game Pass, it was almost £100 a year. A lot of people decided to cancel their Game Pass, and rightly so. I think it's fair. So you can say the last 5 years hasn't been that great under Phil Spencer. So I think it is probably about time, and it is the right decision to jump ship and maybe look for someone new. Who the replacement is, I don't know. I heard someone say, oh, he's getting replaced with an AI CEO, which I don't think that's going to be the case. I can't really see Microsoft being controlled by a fucking AI robot. But yeah, for me, obviously, you know, for me reading this, it sounds like, you know, they got fired rather than, or they was going to get fired, and Microsoft offered them the chance to resign or retire. Because, you know, what's the chances of Xbox's head, you know, the head of Xbox, Phil Spencer, then, like, you know, the second in command, both resigning and retiring? You know, to me, it sounds like, you know, on Tuesday or Wednesday this week, they probably would have got let go. So, you know, Microsoft professionally went to them and said, you know, we'll let you have the chance to resign and retire. But this is a huge, huge impact for Xbox, and hopefully whoever the new head of Xbox is will start to improve Xbox again. Hopefully the prices will come down on the consoles. Hopefully Game Pass subscriptions will come down a little bit, and hopefully they'll start actually trying to fight Sony, because at the moment the console war's over. The console war is done. Sony's won it. PlayStation is through the roof, and I want to see Xbox start competing with Sony again. I really want to see them to start competing with Sony, and, you know, and both of them battling it out. Like, who's the best console? Is it PlayStation? Is it Xbox? What games are better? What Game Pass subscription's better? You know, I wanted to go back to the old days of the PlayStation 3 versus the Xbox One. Sorry, the PlayStation 3 versus the Xbox 360, you know, the good old days of rivalry. So hopefully whoever they point as the new head of Xbox will bring Xbox back to its former glory days. But yeah, Phil Spencer retiring. And this is what Phil Spencer said. This was yesterday on the 20th. It's rare in life to know when a chapter is closing, but after 38 years at Microsoft, that moment has arrived for me. I've made the decision to retire and begin the next chapter of my life. It's been a milestone that's given me a chance to reflect on the incredible journey I've been fortunate enough to share with so many of you. And then, you know, here's a couple of tweets from Phil Spencer, you know, just saying he's excited for the next person to step in as CEO. Thank you for, you know, his start and all that stuff. But Phil Spencer's retiring. I mean, there's been some highs, but there's been a lot of lows. And if we look at his tenure at Xbox, and, you know, if we look over the last 10 years, especially like the last 5 years, it hasn't been really great for Xbox, has it? And they have been slowly declining and losing a lot of players, and they did lose the war, didn't they, between what console's better, Sony or Xbox. But what does this mean for Xbox? Hopefully whoever replaces him will bring Xbox back to its former glory days. Let me know what you think in the comments below. This is a huge huge shock to the gaming industry, but it's probably been coming. I reckon, there's just my opinion from reading this, I reckon they probably was going to fire him and just let him, you know, they probably was going to fire him, let him go. But, you know, they said to him, you know, we'll give you the chance to retire, same as the other person who resigned. But that's just my thoughts, that's just my opinions. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And hopefully we'll see Xbox get back to its glory days and in a better state than it's been in recent years. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.